lot of shows that would not air nowadays. Let's go over some. This is just part one. Also, by the way, I gotta just mention it. I've been saving this since December. Oh! Now, Warren Man, thanks for 700 subscribers. It doesn't get talked about how many reboots Bugs Bunny has been in. It's almost as much as Mickey Mouse has been in. We've seen Bugs Bunny come a long way. Back when he used to be a thug to Elmer Fudd, to Big Chungus, to Wabbit, to creepy CGI, to babies, to even that cringy series that turned them all into superheroes. The Looney Tunes franchise as a whole is no stranger to delving in spin-offs. This version of the Looney Tunes franchise, which, when I think about it now, in this day and age, more particularly the 2020s, I don't think would air even nowadays. The Looney Tunes show is a sitcom starring the Looney Tunes cast. This is a more classic and modern take on the Looney Tunes franchise, quite literally, because it stars Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck, who are both voiced by the same person, by the way, which is impressive as all could be, because obviously those are the two main characters in the show. Bugs and Daffy work fucking wonderfully off each other, and this show is very underrated, having a lot of funny jokes that you don't think would normally even fit or be appropriate for the Looney Tunes franchise. Funny how they managed to fit the Looney Tunes characters in such a modern, just today's setting, but it's still just as funny as the original, even though it lacks almost completely all the slapstick that made it great in the first place. It's a nice modern twist on the Looney Tunes franchise, as it stars Bugs and Daffy living together with their neighbor, Yosemite Sam, the witch, and Lola makes an appearance as Bugs' girlfriend. This also marks the appearance of Tina, who is Daffy's girlfriend, who I believe makes a first appearance here, at least in terms of how they actually portrayed her as. Because up until then, Daffy didn't really have a significant other, so it was nice to see that here. I gotta say, Tina's a really nice pick for someone like Daffy, though. I'm glad that they put in at least some care for a series like this. Then again, it's Looney Tunes, so you probably have to fuck it up really bad. But honestly, let's get to the part that you're all wondering. This show would definitely not air today. Even back then, this show had so many out-of-pocket moments that you can probably just find on the internet. Along with this series, there's the introduction of these little mini songs in between each segment of an episode. Think Phineas and Ferb musicals, but not as good, and with creepy CGI and Looney Tunes, of course. Okay, so they're not that bad. I remember a handful of classics that were in my head, even to this day. The grilled cheese song, the one with Foghorn Leghorn about eating chicken, countless others. I'm frankly really impressed with how they managed to still make the Looney Tunes funny in a modern setting. I think that's one thing we can all agree on, even if you don't like this series or franchise specific version. It was better than this, or fucking this. Oh my god. But no, surprisingly enough, this was made in the 2010s, so this was made right before that Crybaby era. I'm kidding. But let me just say, I mean it when I say they don't hold back, man. A lot of jokes would not fly today, such as Daffy making fun of a woman's son for looking like a girl, calling the name Bart the stupidest name, and overall having a lot of, although funny, pretty 21st century humor that we wouldn't really see with the Looney Tunes. And that in and of itself, I feel like would make it seem a little inappropriate or just not fitting for today's standards. Look at all the spin-offs that were made after this one. None of them are even remotely like hold a pair to this shit. Not to mention, since this aired on Cartoon Network, you know that Warner Brothers got to include all the superhero references. Again, pretty out of place, but still cool to see. Alright, before you click on the video, Gen Alpha, or even Gen Z, because this show is pretty dated, and a lot of the jokes kind of don't age well, but I will say, this show, like no joke, gave me my sense of humor. Y'all already know I didn't grow up with TV, so we had the Cartoon Network app, and again, this was like 2012 to 2013, they had clips of the shows that were airing at the time. To be fair, my sister and I enjoyed the show Mad. For those of you that don't know, it turns out Mad is actually based on a magazine from the 40s, 50s, sometime when like Playboy and like all those other companies were magazines, you know, because the internet didn't exist at the time. They had the chance to make their own show, and then they just take like a few seconds to explain the joke. That's really the whole entire show here with Mad. But considering it is based off the magazine, they incorporate bits of the actual magazine into the actual show, which I thought was pretty cool, to be honest. Like Spy versus Spy, which is obviously, like the name implies, two spies fighting each other in every episode, where one or the other wins. My sister and I used to always have this fun little game we would play where I believe I was the white spy and she would be the black spy. And we had this little game. Whoever won would be, you know, winner of that episode. And I just appreciate the creativity aspect of a show like this because it gave me my sense of humor being all the clips I watched.